Oh, welcome in windailysports.com. This is all sponsored by the Sharp app. Go to sharp.app and you can check out the app there that they have at Sharp and go to any of your app stores, Google Play or also Apple App Store, and go into there and go get the Sharp app. My name is John Jansen, joined as always on a Monday with Tony Cutillo. Follow him at Cutillo23 on Twitter. Tony, we got a game. I don't know what kind of game we're going to see. It's a game. It's something. I don't know what we're going to see. But, yeah, what do you expect tonight in this one? We'll get into all the Showdown stuff. We're going to be breaking down our Showdown lineups, what we're going to do. But just as a game in general, Tony, this one, I don't know.
It's tough, man. I mean, listen, I know we go by, like, traditional battle lines and all, Detroit, Green Bay. But last week, Green Bay was a train wreck. Right,
that's putting it lightly.
Detroit.
That's actually a nice way to put it.
Yeah, I listen. Aaron Rodgers was horrific, right? So, and then you have Jared Goff, who looked like all of a sudden he found his stride against a 49ers team who we couldn't score 11 points up against or more, right? So it's going to be a very, very interesting game. And honestly, John, the way the NFL has gone so far in a couple weeks, who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah, and last week's game, I was hearing this from somebody at Pro Football Focus. Aaron Rodgers had a game like that 4 other times before since 2016, and always the game after he bounces back, and I think he's had 4 touchdowns in each of those games the following week after such a dud performance like he had. So, I mean, are we expecting a Rodgers bounce back? That's obviously you're going to try and put both quarterbacks into your lineups. That's just the way it's going to be. But are you expecting that big of a bounce back from Rodgers? And I mean, it has to be us putting him in our DFS lineups because of it.
Yeah, he has to be. Listen, there wasn't not one receiver besides Davante Adams had more than 2 looks the entire game. So, right. So this is just, it's prime time. It's Monday night. Aaron's ego is this big, right? So there's no way he doesn't come out and just electrify the crowd tonight. In Green Bay, have at it at home. So, yeah, I completely expect a bounce back game from him.
Yeah, I do too. And then it kind of gets into, because I'm seeing all of this. I'm seeing MVS. Is that the way to go? I know that's going to be a little bit, different, and it's not going to be Davante Adams or Aaron Rodgers, but I mean, what I'm expecting those two to absolutely dominate this game. I mean, I would try and get Davante Adams in there instead of Aaron Rodgers, but is there a pivot here? Because I think on both sides, there isn't really as strong of a play as you can get than Rodgers and MVS, because Detroit has nobody, and Green Bay outside of Davante Adams, maybe Aaron Jones, but this seems like more of, I think, as you said, Aaron Rodgers' ego, him trying to score 4 or 5 touchdowns in this one.
Listen, we're talking about a San Francisco team that ran for over 130 plus yards against this defense. I'm going to tell you what, I'm looking at a silent sleeper AJ Dillon kind of game tonight. I really like that run. $3,000. I mean, listen, Aaron Jones didn't do a lot last week. He really didn't. But I think this is a Dillon kind of game, because I think this game is going to kind of get out of hand. I think Green Bay is going to take care of business. And this is a tough slate because of the numbers are so high. I mean, look at those numbers. Davante and Aaron, 17,000, 17-1. It's tough, man. You're going to have to find those diamonds in the rough, so to speak. And I'll tell you what, I like Dillon a lot tonight.
Yeah, Dillon had got involved. And again, if we expect the way to go, kind of how we think, I think Green Bay is going to be fine and play very well in this one. I imagine second half, we're going to see some, touches from AJ Dillon, whether that's in the passing game, whether that's getting carries out of the backfield. I do think, if the game is going to go the way we think, then there's obviously room for him. But that means if we're going with that game script and Green Bay is putting up a ton of points, they bounce back, look very good. That means other players are going to get involved. Dillon's certainly one of that. Are you looking at any other receiver outside of Adams? Is it MVS? Because if we're expecting a big game from Rodgers, I imagine Adams isn't going to catch all 4 or 5 of those touchdowns, whatever we think happens tonight.
Everybody loves MVS. They do. And I'm going to have to pivot here and stick to my guns in the preseason, where I loved me some Allen Lazard. I did. I like the tallest receiver. I think Aaron zones in on guys like that, and I think there's going to be a lot of red zone opportunities tonight. And I have a feeling that it's going to be the taller, not the speedster, the taller receiver tonight that's going to win out. And I think that's going to be Alan Lazard. So for me, I'm going to lean towards Alan Lazard greater than MVS tonight.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the value, or at least some of the cheaper options, going to be on the Detroit side. I mean, what'd you see from week one? Obviously 33 points, but let's be honest. I think San Francisco kind of gave up in the fourth quarter there. Not gave up, but I think they were pretty comfortable with where they were at in that fourth quarter. Maybe your foot was off the gas. But, what did we see from Detroit? TJ Hawkinson got involved often. He was very good, but is there anything else in Detroit? I think we look at the running backs. Jamal Williams is certainly going to have a role. Yes. DeAndre Swift, obviously, he's a fantastic player. But it's sort of that, to me, that Detroit passing game that gets a little bit interesting because, I want to see maybe if we can find one of these wide receivers that can, we could put into our lineups and be a sneaky play here. Because I imagine Detroit wide receivers are not going to be taken often.
No, they're not, right? And Tyrell Williams is out, right? So that was So that's the unsung number one wide receiver. I mean, are you really looking at a Khalif Raymond? I don't think so. I think the pivot here is Amon St. Brown. I do.
We're on the same page then.
Yep. Right. I mean, because again, listen, we all know we're looking at numbers. You're looking at about $2,400 for a kid who's been pretty electric, right? He has. I mean, he hasn't put it all together, obviously, because he's a rookie, but he has a lot of capabilities. And this is the kind of game where Jared Goff could quite possibly make him out to be the X factor in this game on offense. I don't expect the Lions to win. I don't think any of us do. But if you look at the way Jared Goff, basically put out his targets last week or his receptions. I mean, he had 8 to Hawkinson, he had 8 to DeAndre Swift, he had 8 to Jamal Williams, and then he sprinkled 3-2, 3-2, 3-2 all over, right? So if you take DeAndre Swift's nursing a groin injury, so let's not forget about that. I'm not saying he's not going to play, but his touches may be limited, so you need to keep an eye on that. And you also need to keep an eye on the Green Bay defense. Even though Jameis Winston looked like a Pro Bowler, they have very quick edge rushers, and Jared Goff is a statue. He cannot move. Right. So if they get to him and they get to him early, he's going to have to get rid of that ball really quickly. And I think that Amon-Ra St. Brown connection is going to be what you need to really look at.
Yeah, I loved Amon-Ra St. Brown coming out of USC. I thought he was, better than Michael Pittman coming out of USC. That's how high I think. I love St. Brown. I think the talent's there. And now it's sort of like, it reminds me of the NBA, when a player would be out, it's like, well, you kind of have to go get the other guy because, maybe he's not as good, but he's going to get so much opportunity, a guy coming off the bench or, a backup point guard. Like here, it's the same thing. Like Amon-Ra St. Brown at that price, you have to put him in because the opportunity is going to be there. Maybe he only has a couple of catches for, 20, 30 yards, but that would be pretty significantly bad. And I don't think it's going to happen because he's probably going to get close to 6 to 8 targets in this one. Like there is a little bit more targets to go around. And I think Amon-Ra St. Brown kind of takes that. So the opportunity and the fact that he's probably going to be on the field more often, he's probably going to be running more routes. I don't see a reason to stay away from St. Brown. He's that cheap option. Could many people be using him? Sure. But I think it's the perfect one to kind of help you where you can be different, mix and match lineups at the top because, if it's an Aaron Jones game, if it's Devontae Adams, whatever the case may be, you can mix and match your Green Bay players, your studs. But I think the one that's going to be a great, cheap option that'll help you mix and match with some of those top price players, it has to be Amon-Ra St. Brown. Has to be.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, listen, who else besides TJ is going to catch the ball? Right. I mean, that's the thing. If you're looking at this Detroit receiving core, who else do you even have any kind of faith in whatsoever? Right. You have to take a flyer here. You have to. And he's so low. His $2,400 is not going to make or break you. Right. You have to remember that if your core is solid, that 2,400 can only help you. And there's no way he's not going to get a catch. He's going to trip over at least 2 catches tonight. And he has the ability to turn those 2 catches into 20, 30-yard gains. So right there, that is value enough for me to put him in my lineup, especially, John, like we talked about. Look at those numbers up the top. I mean, you have to get creative with your showdown.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You got to get a guy like St. Brown in your lineup. We're going over the showdown for tonight here at WinDailySports.com, all sponsored by the Sharp app. Go to sharp.app or any app store to go check that out. And also subscribe, WinDailySports.com gold membership, still using the promo code NFL 2021, 6 months for $100 off. Sign up, WinDailySports.com. Link is in the description below here on our YouTube page. And also go to our video hub. A lot of great videos that we've been putting up all throughout the week, live streams every day. And you can check that out on the Win Daily Sports Video Hub. Just go to Academy on the webpage and then video. Again, my name is John Jansen, joined by Tony Jigsaw Cutillo. Now, the one thing I don't know if this was the San Francisco game plan or just what Detroit was giving them, but San Francisco, with a great tight end, was going a lot to their receivers, specifically Deebo Samuel. George Kittle didn't really have a big impact. Robert Tonyan didn't do much week 1. We know he's a touchdown machine, and we know that the Green Bay Packers are certainly going to have plenty of chances in the red zone to do it. Is there any interest in Tonyan, or is this strictly, look, Okuda's not been good since he got drafted in the NFL, the secondary is bad? Are we just sticking with wide receivers in Green Bay?
It's tough because of that number.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it truly is.
It is 10,000. I mean, just round it up to 10,000. 9,600 is a big number for a touchdown dependent tight end. That's what you have to realize. This is different. If you look at those values, TJ Hockenson 9,600 and Robert Tonyan or 6,400. I'm sorry.
Right. These are for the flex. That was for the captain. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So if you're depending on what you do, again, he's touchdown dependent, but you know, it's tough, man. It is. This is a really hard showdown lineup to me because
it's tough,
right?
It's really
because you want so many people in there, and it's like, all right, who do we have? I mean, somebody's going to be that guy, and I think it's going to come down to: do you put in a guy like MVS, a guy like Lazard, or a guy like Tonyan? You're not going to be able to have 2 or 3. You're going to have to pick one of those guys, and that's who you're going to have to roll with. So I see a lot of people in the comments talking about Tonyan want to score. He's going to score. I see our boy Glidson and going to score 3. If you think he's going to be the scoring machine, then yeah, you put him in there. If not, if you're looking for yards and catches, consistently, I think you go the other route. It's all going to depend on how you build.
Yeah, I'd rather just stick with the wide receivers. Obviously, San Francisco, Deebo Samuel was able to attack. So that's why I think we're in for a big day for Devontae Adams. I would probably be putting in my captain spot. That's likely where I'm going to go. But I can't trust him. I can't trust either tight end because TJ Hockenson, look at that price. That's crazy. And I know he was the number 1 target getter. I know he was fantastic against the 49ers, but I just don't see that happening again. TJ Hockenson still inconsistent. Like, that was a great breakout game, but we haven't seen that enough from TJ Hockenson. I don't think this passing offense is going to be good enough that you have to spend 9,600 on TJ Hockenson. No way. I mean, that's the one person I will probably not have it. And I hate to say it too, because he could go off, but I will maybe have him in like 1 lineup, maybe, but I'm not getting plenty shares of TJ Hockenson because I don't know how I'm going to be able to fit all of the other guys that I want while also having in TJ Hockenson. I don't think I can do that.
It's tough, especially if you look at right above, if you want to get both quarterbacks in your lineup, you're talking about, for just, $400 more, you get Jared Goff. Not, do I expect Jared Goff to go off again for 338? No, but he's more likely to give you more points than TJ Hockenson. So, and he's only going to cost you $400 more. So it's really hard for me to spend up that big for TJ Hockenson. It really is. I'd rather take my go with a guy like St. Brown and go to a guy like you mentioned earlier, like Jamal Williams. I mean, obviously he had a really decent week last week, and I think he'll continue to have good weeks, and he could be leaned on a lot. He really good. He could be leaned on a lot tonight in the passing game. Like we mentioned, he's going to be out in coverage. And that's what's going to happen. And he's going to get those swing routes. And Jared Goff loves throwing to 16 catches last week between both running backs.
That's incredible.
That's a lot.
Yeah. And I'm sure we expect that. Somewhat not those type of numbers, but I think, as you're saying, I think there's room for that to happen again, or at least there to be enough for both running backs, including Jamal Williams. I like Jamal Williams a lot, and it's not even like the revenge game thing.
No.
I just think with Swift's injury, dealing with that groin, the fact that Jamal Williams, it's not like that guy's bad. That guy's really good, and he's going to be taking
Yep.
away targets for a reason. So I love Jamal Williams in this game. I think you're going to be able to get him. I forgot that we had two St. Brown. So the Amon-Ra St. Brown, not the Equimimius St. Brown. Do not go the Green Bay St. Brown. I don't know, Cody.
Yo, Jansen, you just said that name, bro. I'm going to give you props just for saying that name.
I tried. I attempted it. It felt good. It felt like I got it. No.
I love it, man. I love it.
No, you're not going with that one. The Detroit St. Brown is the one that I'm going with.
One that sounds like ramen noodles. Amron.
Oh man, I love. I had some good ramen a couple weeks ago. So now that needs to be on the menu again. Quick question here: Dylan or Cobb? I'm staying away from Cobb. I know, like, it was a big deal made out of him coming back to Green Bay, and Aaron Rodgers wanted him, but so far, it just doesn't seem like there's room in this offense right now for him. And maybe we'll see it a little bit more when Green Bay's offense is really humming along and they're putting all these guys out and Aaron Rodgers having a great productive day. Yes, I'm sure Randall Cobb is going to see some targets. I just don't see enough from a guy, that's not going to give me much, even with the targets that he is possibly going to get, and also with what he can do with them. I don't see enough there to where I'd want to take my chance with Randall Cobb. A.J. Dillon, as you said, I mean, not only is he going to get a couple of targets, but he's the one who has more of the home run potential and can break a big play than Randall Cobb. So I'd rather go Dillon there.
Yeah, me too. 100%. I think, the narrative, there's a reason why they let Jamal Williams go. Remember, Jamal Williams was the backup to Mr. Aaron Jones, right? So now, if you look at last week, you got to go by game script, right? And game flow, because he was only on the field for 16 snaps last week, didn't get a lot of clock. And I think that's just the way the entire game just unfolded. I don't think that'll be the case tonight. And there's a secret part of me that thinks that they're going to force the Dillon effect a little more too, because of that Jamal Williams narrative. Hey, listen, we let him go because we thought this kid was ready to step up. And I think they'll showcase him a little bit tonight because I think they're going to put Aaron Jones a little flanker out in the receiver position a little more against this Detroit defense.
Yeah, so we are building our DFS showdown lineups, and I'm seeing a few of them here. So I guess who are we landing on in terms of captain then? Is this especially with what we saw Deebo Samuel do. And It's always tough to go week to week because everything changes. It's different. Like you're saying with Green Bay, and it's completely true. It's hard to take away anything from that game. And so it's still kind of guessing because that game script basically was something we're never going to see again with Green Bay. So we have no idea truly what this offense is going to be, how much they actually want to involve A.J. Dillon, how much they want to actually involve a guy like MVS and all of that. We know nothing. We got nothing from week one in terms of Green Bay side of things. But from what I saw, at least with Detroit, and it's going to be true throughout the season, it's been true for a while, their secondary is not very good. And Deebo Samuel had a huge game against the Detroit secondary. I imagine for me, it's going to be a lot of Adams in the captain.
Yeah, I think so. Listen, it's either, look, you got two choices, right? I think the obvious choice are you either go Aaron Rodgers or Davante Adams. Who do you want to go with? And Adams is $600 more for a reason. 5 for 56 last week. I'll tell you what, I could absolutely see this as a 2 to 3 touchdown night for Davante Adams. I mean, it's playing up. Right? It's playing up. He wants to see DeAndre Hopkins take off and take that number one spot in week one. And I think he was basically, he's grinding right now to show that, number one, he's still playing for a contract. Let's not forget about that. He's in a contract stall negotiation for an extension right now. So the pearly lights are on him tonight, John. So I 100% have started all my lineups with Davante Adams as a captain.
Yeah, so let's go through at least one lineup here from Jimmy Wagner. A-Rod, Adams, Cephas. We haven't talked much about him. And again, with the Detroit wide receiver, Cephas could be the one, honestly, instead of Amon-Ra St. Brown. And I know Cephas, you're not going to spend up too much. So, yeah, I that's a great by Jimmy Wagner to put this in here. So thanks for that, Jimmy. But, yeah, we locked in sort of on Amon-Ra St. Brown. But, yeah, Quintez Cephas is also another guy who's got a big opportunity here as well. Goff, Lazard, and St. Brown, Detroit. What do you think about that one, Tony? It's
It's
really tough for
interesting.
me to get two Detroit wide
Yes.
receivers.
I was
That's
just going to say it's the only thing I don't like about it. I'm going one or the other. I can't have two Detroit
right.
wide receivers,
It's
right?
just
So yeah,
and maybe Detroit does have a good game passing, but I don't know. From what we saw, I just don't know if there's going to be enough. And they didn't utilize wide receivers hardly at all. They were going to running backs. They were going to T.J. Hawkinson, tight end. So I just don't think the passing game is going to be good enough that we can sprinkle in a couple of pass catching options for Detroit. It's just I don't know if it's going to fit.
and I'll tell you what, you have to factor in that this isn't in Detroit. You have to factor in that this is in Lambeau. And I don't care what you say, Jared Goff does not take adversity well. And it's going to be rocking in Green Bay. It's Monday night, and I could see him get hit a lot. So I don't trust him with two receivers in that lineup. There's no way. I'm going one or the other. That's why I kept pivoting to AJ Dillon, because I think he's a good value at that price instead of getting two Detroit wide receivers.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to go. And look, you can double dip as we were kind of building our lineups there, or at least I was
Yep.
building somewhat of a prototype of a lineup. I think you can get multiple, kind of Green Bay options in there in terms of pass catching. Devontae Adams, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, so I think you can get all those guys in. This one is leaving out Aaron Jones. I think honestly, I don't know. Maybe it's just overthinking a little bit here. But if we're thinking it's the kind of game it's going to be, I know that they're going up against a bad rush defense, and Aaron Jones could have a huge game and be involved in the passing game as well. But I would rather just link up the Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers connection and just try and force my way to get those two into as many lineups as I can.
Yeah, I agree. And what I will say is, too, it's funny if you scroll over and you show everybody, just so everybody knows, I'm usually not a big proponent of leaving a lot of remaining salary, but I can tell you what, I've done 5 or 6 different showdown lineups tonight, and no matter what, this is one of those nights you're going to have a big remaining salary. Don't worry about it. It's just the way it's going to be, because you're not going to be able to fit everybody in. And then if you do try,
it's a weird gap,
right?
Because it's so top heavy, and then the prices just go down.
Yep.
Like, look at that 2,000 gap between Swift and Tanya. I know Jamal Williams in the middle there, but it's a significant kind of downgrade.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. But I listen, I completely agree. I love Aaron Jones. I love the player he is. But you can't have Rodgers, Adams, and Jones. You got to take 2 or 3, and I think it's easily Adams and Rodgers. So he just say, "Oh man, out tonight." What I can say is maybe you want to do 2, put do 2 showdown lineups, and take one out, put one in, and see how it goes.
That's where you can do a bit of the mixing and matching.
Yeah,
here, is in terms of that. And it's going to be a lot of the Green Bay side. I hate to just keep harping on that, but I don't want to get too many Detroit options. I think Williams is kind of safe here. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown, but I'm not going deep into this passing game. I just don't think it's worth it. Do you think Green Bay defense is a chip in its shoulder coming on fire? Right. If we're talking about all this with Detroit and how turnover prone Jared Goff is, I didn't think Goff looked great. And again, I think they took their foot off the gas, San Francisco. Yeah, I could probably see a few turnovers here.
Oh, without a doubt, no doubt. For me, the over and under is 2 interceptions for Goff tonight. I take
and
the
it's
over
good defense too.
The
New Orleans game meant nothing because it was just really good field position. Really, the offense didn't have to do much for New Orleans. So yeah, I think so. I think a good bounce back spot.
Oh, so we got here. He says you can get all 3. Got to be comfortable using St. Brown and Cobb together. So yeah, he's mentioned if you want Aaron Jones, Aaron Rodgers, and Devontae Adams all together. Right. It's interesting. I just like having both quarterbacks in my showdowns. So that's me. I think you're more likely to score more points with that kind of build.
So that is a look at the showdowns. And if you sign up, gold membership, WayneDailySports.com. Again, you can still use the promo code NFL2021, $100 off 6-month gold membership. But when you get a gold membership, you can go in the Discord chat, and we will have everyone there helping you with your lineups, tinkering around a little bit. So always hop in the Discord chat for that. But let's go to a little bit of betting, tiny bit. What do we got here? Green Bay's a big favorite. Last time I checked, 11.5, but Green Bay's big favorite.
It's a lot of points. It's a lot of points to lay, man. It's a lot of points, but I'll tell you, man, I'm feeling it tonight, though. I am. I'm feeling it tonight. I definitely could see this easily being a double-digit game, 2 touchdowns, something like a 34-20 game. I could definitely see something 34-17. So there's going to be a lot of points scored by Green Bay tonight. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, I think so. I don't like that spread at all because and this may be a little bit of a reaction from week 1, and thinking that I'm a little bit worried about Green Bay. I think they're going to be fine, but 11.5 is just one. Maybe we're not giving enough credit to Detroit for how they played in the second half.
No,
so
yeah.
I think it's a wacky game to begin with going into it because of what happened last week with both of these teams. Look, I had a read on a lot of games yesterday. I finally flipped the script and did well in week 2. This game, though, I from the moment I saw it, went, nope, I'm not going near that.
Yeah, this is a tough game. This is a tough game. But again, listen, how about the over and under 49.5? That's an interesting number as well. Depending on, and this is, to me, it's going to depend on how many points the Detroit Lions should score, because I already know Green Bay is going to score. It's just a matter of how much can Detroit score. So that's an interesting number too.
Yeah, unfortunately, I would probably lean under because, for as much as like we may not be giving Detroit credit and all that, this could just be a bad offense. Like I don't want to forget that Jared Goff is completely terrible and was last year. And I don't think it just fixed immediately. He doesn't have any wide receivers, and he's down one of his wide receivers already. The running game is not going to be very good. He has to throw to 2 running backs and a tight end. It's a weird game, and I'm probably going to lean under. I won't take it, but I'll lean under because I think we'll see today just how bad Jared Goff truly is, because we weren't able to see much of it last week, because the 49ers again took their foot off the gas and everything looked, I think, a little bit skewed because of those last-minute numbers. That is it for us, though. DFS Showdown, we have an article up as well that you can check out, windailysports.com, all sponsored by the Sharp app. So good luck for tonight's Showdown. We'll be back tomorrow, still be an eye, and we'll be taking a look at the Week 3 DFS, getting a nice first look here at Week 3. That is it for me, at Jansen34. You can find me on Twitter, Tony Cutillo at TCutillo23. We'll be back tomorrow here at windailysports.com.